So Neil asked me to speak because I'm from Long Island and I've created a successful business, and he thought this might be inspirational. Marie Calendar is a brand of the highest quality frozen entrees and dinners and pot pies and cobblers, which are small pies. I started the Marie Calendar brand in 1987 and sold it to Conagra in 1994 for $140 million. In today's money, that's $224 million. It's an enduring brand. Last year, it had retail sales of $800 million. And the types of business that I like is really almost like a monopoly, meaning that it can be either a strong brand or proprietary technology. All the rest are very competitive, and it's hard to make money in a very competitive business. And the recipe for success is one, determination. There's going to be obstacles, things in your way. You have to go around them, through them, over them. So I think determination is a tremendously important factor. The other is creativity. And I'll define creativity as taking two ideas which are separate and putting them together and creating a third idea which didn't exist before. And the other factor is luck. You need a little luck. I'm sure everyone has stories, bad luck, good luck. Luck is very important. And the story starts in Great Neck. I was involved in a retail store in Great Neck, and we sold frozen foods. And I read an article, and this was the point that changed everything, and it mentioned Ratner's Restaurant. Now, Ratner's is a landmark Jewish site. Okay, let's see if I go the correct way.
Not the other way.
The other way. Okay, this is, I read the name Ratner's Restaurant. Then I thought, I have a store in Great Neck. People go from Great Neck to Ratner's. Why don't I take the Ratner's food, freeze it, and bring it to Great Neck? And therefore, a famous restaurant name gets people to try the food, and if you make it really good, they'll repurchase it. And then if that works, I could do this with other restaurants. I remember that being less than a second, that thought. And as soon as I had it, I said, this is the path I'm going down. So I contacted Ratner's Restaurant, and I told them I wanted to sell their soups and blintzes and meatless entrees and onion rolls. So they agreed. I designed the packaging, and here it is. And then I put it into the store. I put big signs in the windows, and within 2 weeks, we were doing $2,000 to $3,000 more in sales just from the Ratner's product. Then I took pictures of the store. I had the receipts. I went to other stores which were similar to this store, and I got it into 6 or 7 stores. Then I told Ratner's, I think I can make this into a big business. I want an agreement, and I'll give everyone a little free advice. Get a good accountant, get a good attorney, and pay them right away. Did I say it right? Well, if you pay them right away, they'll listen to you soon. So then I was in 6 or 7 stores, and I wrote an article that I wanted published in Quick Frozen Food magazine. So I actually did the person's job for them. I wrote the article, took pictures, got the article printed, and then I sent it to Ira Walbaum, who owned the Walbaum supermarket chain, which is the Jewish supermarket chain. And he read the article. He called me up, and I think maybe, let's see, no, wrong again. Okay. So when I was in the supermarket, I put up big signs, I made big displays, and within 2 years, we were doing $2 million of sales. But I thought it was too limited. Jews represent only 2% of the population, so I couldn't make it into a big business. And I thought about Chinese food. Everyone eats Chinese food, but there is no famous Chinese name. The only Asian name I could think of that everyone knew was Benihana. It's Chinese, Japanese, didn't matter. It was a famous name. Famous name would get people to try it. So I contacted Rocky Aoki, and he's on the phone, and I tell him what I did, and he turns to his secretary, "You ever have Ratner's food?" "Yeah, it's really good." "Okay, let's get together." So, look, he gave me a 1-year contract to make a line of frozen Chinese food. Well, if you take Chinese food and freeze it, it's terrible. It doesn't work. So I went to these experts, and they were terrible. None of them could do anything. But then I'm a painter. I have a painter friend. We're walking to the museum, and I said to him, "I have this contract with Benihana. I think it could be big business, but I can't get anyone to make the food." And he turned to me, he said, "I'm a maven, I could do it." And I really knew he could do it because I know him. So he figured out a way to make it. I'm not going to go into any details about that. But time was running out. I only had a few more weeks on the contract, so maybe I'll do it the right way this time. Yeah. So I had an idea. I was going to tell Rocky I needed more time, but I couldn't tell him I'll make more money for you because he already has a lot of money, but I know he has a big ego. So I designed a special box with his picture on it. And then I went, he was in a hospital, he did a lot of motorboating, he got into a lot of accidents. And I brought him the package, and he puts it on the table, he's looking at it, and he calls the nurse over. "What do you think?" "Oh, Rocky, you're so handsome." Then he said, "Okay, I'll give you another 6 months." So I designed the packaging, and yeah, this is the final package. This picture's on the back now. So, I designed the packaging. Again, I said I'm an artist, so I kind of like doing that kind of stuff. Hired an ad agency who wrote very clever ads and set up a broker network. And in 2 years, we were doing $50 million in sales. But again, I felt that Chinese food was too limited. So I had this person to work for me, and this was in the early 80s. You could call operators, it didn't cost you anything. I said, "I want you to call operators in every major city and tell them, I'm coming with a group of people to your city. What's a well-known restaurant chain that everyone loves?" So after a few hundred calls, I kept hearing Marie Callender's. Now, Marie Callender's is a West Coast restaurant chain. So I never heard of it, but it's very unique, a very interesting chain. And so I now found out the owner of the chain, his name was Don Callender, and he had just sold the chain to Ramada, but he kept one sentence in the contract that he had the right to retail food. That one sentence was worth $100 million to him. So I made a deal with him. We tested the concept in shopping malls, as stopping people where there's Marie Callender restaurants on the West Coast and saying to them, how likely would you be to buy Marie Callender food if it were available in the supermarkets? And we got the highest scores ever. So I needed $2 million to make this business work. And now I was at the point where a lot of you are, the not fun point, trying to raise money. I go to people, oh yeah, but you got to get this guy to do it. Oh yeah, but you got to get that guy to do it. It was not easy. So I decided to go to Ramada, who just bought the chain, and I said, you spent $86 million on the chain. You give me $2 million, I'll give you 15% of the frozen food business. I ended up at 25%, and that's how I got the money. So let me mention that we created the best frozen food in the history of the business. And the way we did it was my artist friend Saul now has gotten a lot of experience in making the Benihana food. Frozen food is virtually, in the past, assembled. You take frozen this, frozen that, you run it through pipes and you assemble it. We thought of making the food like it was a huge kitchen. No pumping the ingredients. They had to be brought in vats so that they didn't get homogenized being pumped. We actually sauteed the food. No one ever did anything like that. So we had the bottom of these huge vats. We did sauteing to increase the flavor. And when we made gravies, we didn't just add powder. We actually took the gravy from the meats and poured it back, and maybe 50 other things that no one else had done. And we created the best entrees, dinners, pot pies, and cobblers. I decided that I wanted large portions because the food was only a third of the cost, so for a little more, you can give people a lot. It's a good value, so we created a good value. Let me see if we're going the right direction here. Yes, so I designed the box, and it's very, very important, the box, because box is your advertising. It's on the shelf. It's the only way you could advertise. So the idea is, the box is a little cropped, but to use lighting that made it three-dimensional, to make the product so big it had to be cropped so someone could say, oh, it's so big it can't even fit in the box. A kind of Laura Ashley home design. So that went into the packaging. We won a Clio Award for that. So the packaging was important. Now another factor is quality control. I learned the lesson the hard way. You turn around, the quality gets worse. So I put my own people in the plant. They had the right to shut down the line. I got samples from every hour of every run, and I made my partner, who was the president of the company, I made him eat the food from every hour of every run. I said, you can spit it out, I don't care. But you're going to taste it because we cannot afford to have quality control problems. We put 500,000 cards in the boxes, and we asked people what they thought of it. We asked people what products they wanted also to drive the business. And then we were going to introduce Marie Calendar in Los Angeles, its biggest market. Normally when people introduce a product, they rent a golf course. And people play golf, and they don't even remember why they're there. So Rich Greenstein, he has a friend here, so I have to give him credit. Rich Greenstein came up with this idea where Marie Calendar waitresses, dressed as Marie Calendar waitresses, came with a pie tin to the buyer. They opened it up and it said, next week you'll be getting a gift. What's this? What's this? Just wait a week and you'll see. Next week we brought the samples. We knew the product was good. The whole business was launched in Los Angeles on the same day. I got a call from the broker that afternoon. The shopping carts are full. I said, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money. So that was a great call. Then we went to San Francisco, Salt Lake City, Denver, Colorado, where there are other Marie Calendar restaurants. And I think we did in a half a year like $16 million. It was very, very successful. People love the food. One of the things we wanted to do was we had a lot of decisions to make in terms of putting product on sale. What product do you put on sale? How much do you put it on sale for? In what market? We created what we call the Bible. Mike DiStefano, Rich Greenstein worked on it. It had every product in every market and every price discount and how it would affect the bottom line of the business. So every decision, how did it affect profits? And I think this is a good way of thinking about business. Make a profit as soon as possible. Make every decision focus on the bottom line. Then we went into non-Marie Calendar markets. Rich Greenstein sitting there with the buyer from Wallbounds. What's this box you got? I don't think you're interested. Give me the box. So he took the box. He looked at it. I love it. Give me samples. He took the samples. He put it into Wallbounds. It did great. He wanted $50,000 for the chain. We said no. We put it into all these other chains. And ultimately we got back in. We expanded to the rest of America. We expanded the product line, and at the end of 7 years, we had $170 million in sales with a 12% profit margin. I think there's a picture coming up. No, going backwards, sorry. Here we are. So that's Rich, that's me, and that's the product line. And ConAgra wanted to buy the business. They offered $90 million. And right before, they spent a year investigating it. They put their own people. They just wanted to make sure it was real. And right before the deal, I told them two of their competitors offered me $160 million. I'll sell it to you for $140 because we already have a relationship. They agreed, and ultimately that's what happened. The next business I wanted to do, I wanted to do something good that involves Initech, which you'll hear about. And I think the biggest variable in a business is you're betting on the person. And in my experience, the best entrepreneur I've ever worked with is Jeff Surma, who you'll be hearing from very soon. Thank you.